Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, as you can see from the thumbnail, I'm going to be making this really cute charm spring charm freestyle set. So I'm starting off with my enailcouture long square nail tips. I already buffed and added a base coat. I do add a base coat just to add an extra layer for sets that I know are not going to have so many layers of gel. Another thing, I think one time I never used a base coat and my gel polish did peel even though I buffed the nail. So because of that one time that happened to me, I'm kind of scared and I always make sure to base coat now. I decided to say that just because I've been getting questions about that. People were saying that base coat is usually for natural nails and like for manicures and stuff, which I do know and I totally understand that, but I like to add it on my press-ons to give it more of an acrylic type of feel. I don't want them to feel like press-ons from like the store. I want them to feel very strong. So now that I got that out of the way, I went ahead and applied my nude color. It was number 236 from Rarjsm on Amazon. And that one is actually called light pink. So if you're looking for that one, that's what it's called on Amazon. And then now I'm grabbing Juicy Pink from the brand Gaoi, I believe, or Goi. And I'm doing an extra layer of that. It is like a really extremely sheer, almost clear pink. And that just adds a little bit of a pink undertone onto the nude color I just applied. And now I'm grabbing this red from Sissi, the brand Sissi. It is a really nice cherry red. I really love it, especially because for this freestyle, I really wanted to do a bright red kind of almost like picnic type of vibe, but without like the plaid or anything. So you guys will see the vibe I was kind of going for because I wanted to add some fruit charms. This set was specifically charm inspired, so it's specifically going to have lots of charms because I did a charm freestyle sale, so I wanted to use up some charms that I had that are super cute that I never really get to use. So I decided to do a French because I know that she probably likes French, so I'm going to go ahead and add a French with my favorite white gel polish at the moment. This one's from Melody Susie called Snow White. I get it on Amazon. And then I'm using my brush, so I'm going ahead and just freehanding the French tip, but don't stress yourself out if you are a beginner with the French. I know it could be super hard. I said this so many times, but I used to struggle a lot on my French tips. Practicing is the only way that you could get better and finding a method that works for you. There's some people that do like the method where you clean it up with a little bit of acetone and a little brush. You could do the A method. There's like, I think, a T method as well. There's so many different methods that you could try out to see which one works best for you. And yeah, so another thing I wanted to say is that different methods would probably work better for you for different shapes of nails. For example, for an almond shaped set, you could probably go in with a French specific like bottle of gel. Like I know Prey has like a French white that has a specific type of brush tip that helps you do French, and I feel like that would work very well on almond. I saw this girl on TikTok making it like that, and I just don't remember her name, but you could use that type of bottle. You can use a little brush. You can use a smaller brush if you have smaller nails. But for long length nails and even longer, I like to use a longer length brush. So this brush is 12 millimeters. So it's just completely up to you. And I know that practice will make perfect because I took a lot to get here. I did not start off this good. So yeah, don't compare yourself to me or anyone else because you will slowly see yourself improve little by little. So yeah, this brush is very nice and thin, which helps me get that super crisp shape. I struggle sometimes, or I used to struggle with French so much and still struggled with French because I would go in with a thicker, longer brush that was a little bit thicker and I would think, okay, it's thicker, so I'm going to be able to fill in my French tip faster. And I would find that it would just be even harder to create the perfect French. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I tried using other brushes that just are a little bit thicker than this one that I'm using, and it does not work the same. Sorry, you guys, the siren, so I had to pause. But yeah, so even if you have a really good brush, like let's say you paid like $15 or $20 from it, it is like the brand of your favorite creator or whatever, and you know that the brush is good quality, but for some reason you're still struggling to create a perfect French, I would totally recommend going out and trying to get an even thinner brush because the thickness of the brush might be what's making you have a hard time there is brushes from some of my favorite brands that I thought would be perfect, and then they are still not what I wanted. I would constantly have to cut the bristles to make it perfect and nice and thin, which is what works best for me. I have very, very shaky hands, and I notice when I use a thicker brush, even if it's not even super thick, like just a little bit thicker than the one I'm using, I cannot get a perfect French. And then also when I fill in the French, the lines will be super, super streaky. But when you're using a really thin brush, it gives you the most even consistency and the most even lines where you don't even need to go in and fill in with the second coat. As you guys can tell, I only go in with one coat for my French, and it is one coat and done. You don't need to go in with any other ones. So yeah, that's like my number one tip for you guys that are struggling. And now this is my favorite part. The best part of any nail set is when you get to decorate. So I'm going ahead and doing the art now. This is where I grabbed the charms I wanted to use. I wanted to do kind of like a gold, red, and almost yellow type of vibe. Just like, I don't even know what kind of vibe this is called, but I really wanted to do this. So I wanted to use these little strawberries and cherries. If I could use both, I wanted to use both. And these little flowers as well. This little flower is so cute. It has a little bumblebee on it, which I love. And I've never got a chance to use these charms, so I was really excited about it. And I am going to be using my Makartt rhinestone gel today. I recently bought a new one, and I haven't been having any problems with it. It actually works very well. And I will show you guys an extra tip on how I secure my charms in a little bit here. You guys will see what I'm doing to make sure that I really have good adhesion. Another tip I wanted to give really quickly is if the charm is big, like this strawberry or like this flower, as you can see, the back is very smooth. So one thing I would totally recommend that I forgot to do with these charms, but I still made sure the charms were secure, but something I've been doing even on my little bow charms as well, is turning them around and filing, or kind of just like making the back super gritty, because the back will be super smooth and the charm could pop off because of how smooth it is. It's almost like glossy, especially on the bows, like any bow charms. So you want to grab your file and just go over the back and roughen it up so it can really stick and adhere very nicely to your rhinestone gel. So now I'm grabbing these little tiny flowers and I'm adding them here. As you can tell, I tried to do like a little bit of a 3D design. You can't tell too much on camera, but in person it looks pretty cute. And then here I was trying to figure out what I was going to do on the thumb. And this rhinestone gel will, like, not spill. What is it called? It'll like level out. So you need to cure as soon as you have your rhinestones or your charms exactly where you want them to be. You need to go ahead and cure it. So that's why for this specific type of nail, like charm nails, rhinestone nails, whenever I'm using my Makartt rhinestone gel, I always go ahead and cure after every single nail, so that my charms don't slip and slide off to the side of the nail. So now I'm going in with the charm gel again. I'm using a very good amount, and then I'm going in with the strawberry. See, this strawberry would have been perfect for me to file the back and roughen it up, but nonetheless, I forgot. It's okay. I'm going to make sure I do it from now on. And like I said, I'm going to give you guys another tip on what I've been doing to make sure the charms stay. And then here I wanted to see what kind of other thing I wanted to add here. So I wanted to use the strawberry, but I wanted to add a different charm on top as well. And I went ahead and went in with the heart. I felt like the heart looked super cute. It is like a gold metal heart. So whenever you use these type of charms, you want to make sure that you get glue in the center of it and on the edges, because it's like hollow. So you want to make sure you use a good amount of glue. And then another thing that you want to make sure to do is top coat at the end, because these type of charms could rust. So you don't want that to happen. So here you could see I applied the bow, and this is a really cute red jelly bow that I had. And I went ahead with a lot of gem gel or rhinestone gel. I went ahead with a good amount. And I'm going in with a little brush and a tiny bit of acetone and just smoothing out the extra glue so that it doesn't show all lumpy around the outside of the bow. So you can see here I'm going ahead and cleaning it up, and this is just going to help your nail have really even look, and also will help you seal up any edges. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, and then I'm going to do the same thing to the other hand. A common misconception, I think, for a lot of people that are barely beginning doing any type of nails is that the acetone is going to take away the gel polish that you have already cured underneath, or that the acetone could do something to your nail. So in my experience, the one time that using acetone on a brush has actually ruined the nails underneath has been when I used to use the ABS plastic nail tips. those ones, they would melt. They melted one time when I tried to do marble with acetone. I do know now that acetone or marble works best with alcohol or some alcohol inks. That's like the best way to do marble. But back then when marble was really popular, when I first started, I didn't know, and I was trying to do press-ons and they melted kind of the nail and it just shriveled up super weird. So my tip, if you're worried about that happening to you, I'm not saying the nail tips matter. You can use any nail tips you want as long as they're sturdy. But the tip that I can give you is if you're going to use acetone to clean anything up, you want to make sure that there's barely anything on your brush. Like, you just want your brush to be slightly damp with acetone. You don't want the acetone to be super, super saturated into your brush. One, keeping like a lot of acetone on your brush all the time could fray your brush over time. So don't use an expensive brush if you're going to be using acetone on it, because you don't want it to get ruined. Another thing, acetone could also ruin brush handles, so make sure you think about that. And in case you guys aren't aware, acetone eats anything up. Like, it'll ruin the color on anything. You have to make sure not to get acetone on these little charms that I'm using here. You want to make sure not to wipe them with acetone. You also want to make sure not to wipe the little pearls with acetone or any type of little beads, because the acetone will completely wipe off all of the color and shine from charms and things like that. And then it will also ruin any type of design. Like, for example, the little bee on this, or like the little strawberry, it'll ruin that. So you want to make sure with acetone you're very careful. Also, just like try to make sure not to get it on your stuff. Like, anything that acetone gets on, it will remove the color. It'll strip anything, any color or any design off of plastic or acrylic or anything like that. So just make sure that you keep that in mind, even though I'm pretty sure you guys already know that. But I just like to say it just in case there's someone watching that isn't aware. So I would recommend to clean your brushes in alcohol. I do slightly dip them in acetone if I'm using a super pigmented color. Like, if I'm using a liner gel, I will clean my brush with a little bit of acetone and then clean it with alcohol right after. But personally, I do not recommend it because it could eat up the brush handle and it could eat up your bristles. So just keep that in mind. And then something else I wanted to say, but I totally forgot. If I think of it, I'll tell you guys. But now, once everything's all cured, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I totally was chit-chatting over here and I didn't even realize that I showed you guys the other glue that I used to seal up the edges of my charms, and it is the gem grip glue from Makartt. It is a brush. It is a glue that comes with a tiny little needle at the very edge of it. And it is different than the other glue that I originally used to put the charms on. I used both. So I used the regular tube of Makartt gel to put the charms on. And then to seal around all the edges, I used the gem grip glue. It is a very waterier version of the regular Makartt glue. So it has a little needle tip. It lets you get into really small crevices so that you can really, really, really make sure it's filled in, so that your customer's or client's hair does not get caught underneath the charm. Also, it gives it an extra protection so that the charm does not pop off. It's just really good to use for extra protection if you're having trouble with your stones coming off, or your charms. It'll make sure that they do not come off at all. Like, it'll be actually impossible to take them off. So yeah, I recommend using that. I showed it while I was chit-chatting about the acetone, so in case you guys wanted to go back to that clip. But now I'm going ahead and going over all the charms, and I am going over all the whole nail, and I'm top coating. I am using the Beetles top coat, and I'm just making sure to make a very nice even layer. When you have a lot of charms like this, you have to make sure to get into every crevice, because as you can see, some of the nail is a little bit lumpy and bumpy, but I like to make sure that I top coat, because if I don't, like I said, acetone, cleaning supplies, things like that will ruin your charms. So I want to make sure that whoever's going to be wearing these nails, that their charms are protected. So yeah, here I am just double checking that everything is nice and cured. I always like to double cure whenever I use a lot of glue, just to make sure that everything is really nice and set, because if it's even a little bit unset, it'll be horrible. Because then it can peel. When you go back to file, things could happen. So yeah, you just want to make sure that it's all cured. And then another thing I wanted to mention that I get a lot of questions about is my shaping. So I do shape the nails at the very end of the set. That is just what I like to do personally. I feel like it just gives it the most beautiful crisp shape ever, and no, I've never had any issues with the nails chipping or peeling after I file the edges. This is what the set looks like all done. So basically, once it's all finished and put into the box, it looks so cute. Like, I absolutely love the whole springtime vibe of this set. It's really giving picnic. It's really giving summer and just like amazing type of vibe. But yeah, I really recommend filing your nails at the end if you guys are having trouble with that. I have an entire video on doing it, on how I do it, and it's a super quick video, so you guys should check it out. But that's it for this one. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!